Welcome to the free audio rendering of Not Without Scars 2. Such an insightful and impactful work must be accessible to the countless number of people living similar life experiences. Becoming a best-selling author pales in comparison to creating a tool capable of instilling hope in the multitude of people trapped in the valley of decision. My greatest profit comes in helping others emerge victorious over their life struggles. My goal is to encourage individuals to follow their dream. My message: you must never quit on your faith, pursuing your aspiration or vision. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take a moment, invite your family, friends and acquaintances, and enemies to listen to this work chapter by chapter. It is free to listen as well as free to subscribe. Peace, love, and phenomenal blessing.
How do I write my life story? I know hurt and pain. I don't like either one, whether physical or emotional. Herein contains my story, Not Without Scars, Part 2. Optimism, perseverance, persistence, resilience. 2 decades of personal struggle. Optimism. I faced the new millennium with hopefulness. Perseverance. My ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve never allow me to turn away from a difficult task. Persistence. Opposition should be anticipated as an effective strategy to victory surfaces. Resilience. Difficulties do not automatically spell termination. Scars reveal my imperfection as reminders of past episodes of pain, sorrow, or triumph. Scars can tell beautiful story endings or relay misery that wishes to remain anonymous. This work is meant to help others who have experienced decades of struggle. When struggles appear to never end, you must get through the night and face the challenge of a new dawn with fresh hope.
Chapter 20. The preparation to return to a non-existent future. Introduction. In the pathway of my mind, I had struggled silently to retain my sanity. No one knew or recognized the depth of my pain or the fear that I had held within of losing my mind. Deep inside, I harbored the fear of preparing to return to a non-existent future. Yes, I would have a future. It was one that I had no control over or any knowledge what it contained. I had spent my time desiring to return, a misnomer, to a place and time that had moved into another realm, one reserved as bygone history or delicate memories. I had written more than 50 manuscripts covering nearly every genre of discipline possible. Most of this manuscript would eventually reach publication. Others would be held onto as personal mementos. Several were written as odes to friends who transitioned into eternity while I existed in a converted monastery and sanctuary. The sabbatical had produced economic, political, social, and spiritual volumes. In addition, the works held relative ready for implementation. The works held relative solutions ready for implementation. Other solutions were years away from implementation, but more so, the individuals to fulfill the mandate had not arrived to intersect with the solutions. My pen was one of a ready writer. I received revelations as I had no computer or search engines, no library with shelves filled with research volume. I had to tap into what had been planted as a divine gift and listen with a sensitive ear to hear what the Spirit was saying. I wanted my family back. My girls were women. Brittany was a wife and mother. Madison had blossomed into a teenager. I would soon discover the toll of separation made divorce the future of my marriage to Jackie. My church role as pastor would be forever changed from the conventional definition. The things that I had held on to help retain my sanity were not in the future for me as I had envisioned. There will be a minimal number of shed tears. The preparation to return to a non-existent future did not mean that there would not be a future filled with hope and the accomplishment of dreams realized. Faith and fate will shepherd the way to achieve divine destiny. Historical. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Marcus Garvey. The discussion within. I had faced reality with less favorable conditions. Each time that incredible odds disfavored me, I never forsook confidence in myself. Incredibly, I believed that I could find a good junction to start. However, there were always friends that I could go to who believed in me. This time, the role had been cut short by the death angel. The men that I could depend upon were in eternity. Jack Best, Arnold R. Pinckney, Nate Smith, Harold A. Carter Sr. For several others, Alzheimer's and dementia had claimed their mental capacity. It appeared as if each avenue that I had planned to travel had become a wasteland without a clear path. These were uncharted trails ahead. Another chapter had to be written that my pen had not captured in all the volumes created. How many setbacks had I experienced and overcome? Too numerous to bring to mind, but they were fresh enough in my thoughts to never entertain any semblance of defeat. The inevitable question that has to be addressed in preparing for the future: what am I going to do? The hyperbole surrounding the question may cause the framework to look different, but the issue remains the same. What will be the next step or the first step? A conversation must take place within, but any external actions can be exhibited. I had failed at insulating myself from the errors in judgment by others. This came back as my responsibility for not doing my own due diligence. Ultimately, the predicament where I found myself was my own fault. Therefore, I would have to rely on my abilities to climb out of the mess that ensnarled me. Seriously, I had to examine the climate change of individuals I knew. The aging process had changed a number of people's mental abilities. Others were no longer earning at a high level. One dear friend said point blank, I am dealing with end of life issues. I have no outlook for future investment. As it had been for most of my life, my peers were always 15 to 20 years my senior. So returning home at 65, my friends were in the 80 to 85 years old range. The political landscape had changed. I had to face a world of people who were my age or more. These individuals were now content to view the world from the sideline while I was itching to get back into the game. The list of individuals who I considered as potential people to seek assistance was rapidly dwindling. The more questions I asked myself, the more names I excluded from the list. It was not the time to become discouraged. Plus, I had helped a lot of people. I was not looking to collect on any debt. Simply, I believed that people would want to help me become stable and rise back to my familiar role of helping the people in the community. I had a vault of ideas that needed cultivating. More than ideas or concept, I would be returning with solutions. It was easy to see that no radical ideas were flowing throughout the community. The internal discussion led me to surmise that I would indeed find a welcome committee for my mind and ideas to assist others. Social. Black experience. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Harriet Tubman. How do you start over again? I felt that I was more than a dreamer. Yes, I had grandiose dreams. My claim to life was my actual fulfillment of my dream. At least a number of my aspirations came into being, if not at the full design. My ambitions were not reckless or outrageous fantasies. There were goals that had a strategic layout to bring them to full fruition. Mostly, what had plagued me over the years was the fund deficit. Yet, I never set goals based on my current financial position. I was not about to begin thinking about what I could accomplish with no money. My strength was that I relied, my strength was what I relied upon. Yes, I enjoyed excellent health, but it was not solely my physical well-being that I depended upon. It was my mental capacity. The battle in prison was not about my physical health. The tremendous struggle was waged for my brain. My ability to think and reason was part of my strength, a strength that I had come to rely on for my existence and sustainability. As I matured, I realized that sage wisdom had increased my strength. Faith had a lot to do with grasping and understanding of the changing time. Within me, my subconscious and my spirit, a great strength enabled me to encapsulate the determination to succeed. I embraced the capacity to emerge triumphant over external pressures as well as withstand great force unleashed by opposing factors. I refused to succumb to what appeared as a dominant impasse. Although visibly absent from my youth, patience had become a mainstay of my character. I had learned to not be easily dismayed by what presented itself as a setback. I had managed to acquire over time the capacity to accept the delay of what I may have pursued with urgency. It became more than an ability to tolerate deferment. The lesson of rescheduling added to my strength. I did not come unglued at a gap between achievements or deliverances on an expectation. Troubles were not ambassadors signaling the end of the world. Suffering were not messengers who stated that I would never heal or recover from a disappointment. I simply learned the application of not becoming upset or giving in to an angry display. My passion to accomplish and achieve propelled me to stay focused upon the goal. A day, a week, a month, or a year, or whatever time necessary to accomplish my goal would be worth the delay. My aspiration, dreams, or goals were always reflected of my attitude. Always think big. Theological. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. Psalm 118, verse 8, King James Version. Something real has to echo in your spirit. When all else has failed, I am reminded it is better to place my confidence in the Lord than in humanity. Male or female, it is better to put my trust in the Lord. My faith is not secondary to my self-confidence. I acknowledge what gifts have been divinely imparted to me. In addition, I do comprehend when I have been inspired to act or write by the Holy Spirit. I do not vacillate between the two, my faith and my confidence. I simply recognize that both have their origin from the same source. Therefore, I find their presence as interchangeable in life and the experiences connected to all the endeavors that come my way. Something real has to echo in my spirit in order for me to move profoundly toward an objective. An authentic influx of power provides me the incentive to go against the odds. I have never been a glutton for punishment. My pleasure sensation rises in connection with an attraction for victorious personal outcome. When an initiative uplifts the community or other individuals, the conclusion gets chalked up as a personal victory. An assurance of victory resonates in my spirit as an objective mesh with my faith and ability. Growth emanates with challenges. Confidence level rises with positive challenge, and faith scales challenges with works. My faith empowered me to move toward the unforeseen future with confidence. I would exit imprisonment and enter freedom with anticipation of a greater dimension of success. Who I am does not depend upon what has maintained status or a prominent position since my egress. The world changes, but the sovereign law remains the same yesterday, today, and forever. 2007 to 2014 resilience summation. A, prison. Here we go again. The loss of freedom demands major adjustment. One, you have to decide how to deal with what you have left behind. Two, you have to concentrate on how you will deal with what lies ahead. Completely different, however. The two are interlaced and intertwined together. Not a bond of design, yet the two can create a significant impact on the direction an individual life will take. I have not devised a perfect order as to how to deal with the progression of life. The requirements of the present will dictate as to where my focus shall shift. Usually, I delay the future prospects until I have a clear revelation of what impact current events will reveal. Dealing with the past loses its urgency as the future begins to assume a more dominant role. B, the appeal was never to be. The formality of the appeal process has served as a toothpick operating in the role of a crutch. Small by any standard, nevertheless, it is a piece of wood. It is there, but not very useful in terms of propping up body weight. The appeal of my conviction did not proffer any real hope of freedom. The action was the last effort before completely closing the door on the past. From the point of receiving the court upholding the conviction, all energy then stirs towards the future. C, internal battle for the mind. The internal battles in the mind are consequential on a daily basis. The attitude displayed or the moves portrayed originate from what stage the internal battle rages. What worked best for me? Learning to go on the offensive against depression. Continuously thinking and focusing on positive projects. It was not enough for me to think about positive things. I had to draw them out by design. If there were administrative parts, I had to give them each a label and a functionality. Being on the offensive, I maintained the edge in sharpening my skills. As an administrator, it was necessary to create every aspect of how to arrive at a finished product. It was not merely an exercise to keep busy. I had to correct my shortcomings and place every detail in place as much as possible. I would never permit what happened to me last time around to creep in as a possibility for any future endeavors. D, write, mark, write. In order to keep myself occupied, I wrote day and night. This exercise kept my mind engaged. I set deadlines and worked feverishly to meet them. I started several manuscripts simultaneously, which enabled me to compartmentalize various ideas. By doing so, I was able to perform diverse projects. Managing the different genres of writing also helped me sustain the ability to monitor varying character types. I believe in what I was doing. That made my preparation positive for the future. I knew where I was headed. It was a matter of implementing what had already been defined. The more composition that I completed served as another potential to bring about an open door of opportunity. E, prepping to return to world gone by. Changes are inevitable. I knew that. I had planned to return to my wife and baby daughter, who was now a teenager. I had not anticipated having to go through the halfway house due to Jackie's choice to move on without me. It was another bump in the road that drew energy from my emotion. Life is a never ending series of adjustments. Preparedness to maneuver through the unexpected would determine the success of the failure. I realized that what had gone by was not the end of my life. The phase had vanished, but my zeal for life had been refueled.